Welcome to Smoky Ribs. I'm Russ Jones, and today's video I'm doing beef jerky. To be more precise, I'm doing brisket jerky. Gonna get started right after this. So when you think of brisket, you think of a fatty piece of meat, right? Well, there's actually two portions to a brisket. As many of you know, you have the flat, which is what I have right here, which is considered the leaner cut of the brisket. Then you have the point end, which is the fatter end of the brisket. I'm going to be using just the flat because of its leaner qualities. Now, just looking through this cryovac, it doesn't look so lean, and there is going to be more fat than what you would have in like an Ive round or London broil, top round, bottom round. All those cuts are leaner, but I'm doing this specifically just to see what the results are going to be, and I'm not too worried about a little extra fat because this is not going to last long. Fat will go rancid in a beef jerky kind of rapid, but this will be going way before then. So I'm going to get you started. I'm going to undo this from the cryovac, and we're going to pull out the seasonings, and we're going to get this jerky going. All right, so this is the back side of the brisket. As you can see, I have a complete fat cap here, and on the bottom side, I've got some fat. So I'm going to take my fillet knife, boning knife, and we're just going to start removing all this exterior fat off of here. So once we get all this fat off, I'm hoping that it's going to look a whole lot more lean. So let's see, we got about a 1/4 inch thickness right here, and there ain't but one way to get into that, and that's just to get in there and get after it. As you can see, that's a whole lot of fat. So I don't want to bore you with this. You probably have watched people remove fat from meat if you watch these videos a lot. No telling how many times. So I'm going to trim all this up, and I'll bring you back here in a few minutes when I'm getting ready to actually slice this. All right, so we got it trimmed up pretty good there. You got some little specks there. I'm not worried about that. And the back side, about the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut across the grain. The grain is running this way, as you can see. I'm going to cut these into strips about this wide right here. All right, so we got 3 individual pieces cut across the grain. All right, so you could take a slicing knife, the big long ones, and you could just cut no more than a 1/4 inch slices if you want to, but they also sell, let me get these gloves off. They also sell one of these right here. Now, you can pick something like this up at your local academy. Maybe Bass Pro's got them, Cabela's, different places online or whatever. And what's really cool about this, you just feed it down this chute. There we go. And look at there, it just cuts it into slices. That is just perfect jerky pieces. There we go. All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's see what we got here. So hey, look at that, man. That's just perfect jerky pieces. The right width, everything about it. So that's looking good. All right, so we are ready for marinade. All right, so a lot of people use their own recipes for jerky, and that's fine. But I love the convenience of buying these kits, jerky kits, and I've got 3 of them here in front of me. This is a maple jalapeno by PS Seasonings. Now this is enough to do 15 pounds, but they got it broke down to where they got the cure and the seasoning. They got 3 separate packs for each one, 3 cures, 3 seasonings, so you could do them in 5-pound increments. Now I just weighed this meat, I'm at 4 pounds. So I'm gonna have to cut these back a little bit. And what I ended up needing, let me see here, I just figured it up. These weigh in at 2.10 ounces. This, I got 2.10 ounces divided by 5 is 0.42 per ounce. So I got 0.42 times 4 pounds would be 1.68 ounces is what I need. So I've got my little container here. We're going to zero this out. All right, I'm just going to take and measure this until I get 1.68. It's 1.70. I think we're close enough. Let's dump that over into a container. Now let's do another packet. Just a little bit heavier than the cure. So we're going to bring this to about 172. So we're going to throw this in the container. Now it says to mix a little water in it, and the container I'm using is actually the container for my vacuum tumbler, and I'll talk more about that here in just a minute. Let's get a little bit of water. Doesn't really say how much water, just says a little water, and that's a little water. That's probably not even 1/4 of a cup. Oh yeah, that little bit of water is dissolving that really good. So all we want to do now is just add our meat into this. Put our lid on. All right, so let me go find the other half of this vacuum tumbler, and we'll get this going. But so you know, you do not have to have this. A Ziploc bag will work just fine. Just drop everything in there, massage it good, get that coating on there, put it in your fridge, and I would suggest going 2 days. My good friend Brian Ducharme, that's something he taught me about beef jerky, and this is all he does is beef jerky. He does it on a commercial scale, it's commercial level. And he told me that if you're doing jerky and if the recipe calls to marinate overnight 1 day, then go 2. Go that extra mile. And that's true with anything. I don't care what you're marinating. And so that's kind of what we're doing. I'm doing 30 minutes in this. That will replicate a day, day and a half of just going in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator. And then I will actually go in the refrigerator for, maybe 12 hours. I'm gonna fire the smoker up in the morning, so we're still looking at a 2-day marinade with a little help from the vacuum tumbler. Be right back. Okay, so we're gonna start the vacuum on this, and there it goes. It takes roughly about a minute to get the vacuum pulled on this. Take this top valve and put it in a closed position. That'll stop you from losing your vacuum when you unplug your hose. Store your hose away. Turn our tumbler on. I'm gonna set this for 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, I'll take this and we'll transfer this into a Ziploc bag. We'll put it in the refrigerator overnight. And I'll see you tomorrow morning when I fire up the smoker. All right, it's the next morning. And what I've just done is I took my beef jerky strips and I placed them on all these wire racks. I left a little gap between them to where they're not touching, so the air and heat can get around them real evenly. I ended up with 3 racks. That's 4 pounds. Now in the bottom I took some aluminum foil and I just covered my drip pan to make for easy cleanup with that. I can expect some drippage with this. So we're gonna close it up. All right, so let's turn our power on. Let's set this up to 170 degrees. I'm at 185. That's where I had it set on my last cook, which was the Red Barn bologna. 170. And that's it. By the way, I've got the top vent set to 1/3 open, and I've got the bottom vent set to 1/3 open. So I'm expecting this to take somewhere around 4.5 hours. I'll check it at the 2-hour mark. We'll come back and take a look. All right, so I wanted to show you the sawdust. This is hickory sawdust. I actually had this on there as the reason you see it steaming. I realize I didn't show you, but I'm about 1/4 capacity of this sawdust pan. You don't want no more than that because your meat is very thin and you can easily over smoke it. Now it does have water in this. You got to have water on the sawdust, else it'll just ignite and catch on fire. So you got to wet it, and it's going to slowly add smoke over the next hour and a half. At that point, all the water will be gone, the dry sawdust will be gone. Then we'll have nothing but dry heat from there on. Been going around 2 hours. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, a little warm. I can handle it. Oh yeah, that's looking good. That's looking real good. We're not quite there yet. That's still moist. Kind of stuck to the grate here. I think once it gets fully cooked, it should release. Closed it back up so we don't lose all our heat. We're gonna let this go about another 2 hours. At that time, we should be getting really close. I'll bring you back at that time to see how we done. And by the way, I had it nailed pretty close on the smoke. It ran about an hour and 15 minutes and it played out. Nothing but good dry heat right now. So it should have a nice smoke flavor on it without it being too much. When I first started this, it took around 30 minutes to go from a cold smoker all the way up to the 170, about 30 minutes. So I have subtracted that from the overall time. I have been smoking 4 hours exactly. Let's take a look at it. Oh man, that is looking good. Let's take a piece and look at it. Look at the color on that. That's just fantastic. When you bend it, it's got some flakes. It's cracking a little bit, which tells me it's time to come off of there. That looks really good. So let's take a quick taste and see what we think. I swear, warm jerky right out of the smoker is the best it's ever going to taste. That is so good. That is perfect. Perfect. I don't want to get it no drier than that. Keep in mind, I don't know the shelf life on this. You know, you can't just leave it out because I have no way of checking the water activity in it to know if it's really shelf stable or not. Now, that said, there is a cure in there which is going to give it some longevity. It will last like in your refrigerator vacuum packed for weeks, but I promise you this won't last for weeks. No way. That's a really good flavor. The smoke on this is perfect. I have yet to be let down with this PK100 by Pro Smoker. I've done beef sticks so far. I've done summer sausage. I did the bologna video. Now beef jerky. All 4 of those have been smoked, and it's just a perfect amount of smoke. Now you do have to regulate how much sawdust you're putting in this depending on the thickness, and this is thin. So by going 1/4 of an inch deep in that pan, that was a good call. That was perfect. I mean, just the right amount. Wet your sawdust and don't worry about the moisture, because guess what? The meat is putting off moisture too until it begins to dry. So by the time it really gets into that drying phase, all of your sawdust is gone, your smoke has done its job, and all the water's gone, and now you just got good dry air. There's a really nice heat on the back end of this, great flavor, maple jalapeno. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and check out PS Seasonings. They have many flavors in their beef jerky kits, and as I showed you last night, most of these kits enable you to do like 5, 10, 15, whatever you want to do. They got it broke down for you already. Very simple, very easy, and they're not expensive. You know, instead of going to the store and trying to buy all these ingredients and make your own marinade, give this a shot. Let me know what you think. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Till next time, Smoky Ribs Barbecue.